do these. Why? I don't know. I'm just busy with other shit. 57 days of this bitch. 4th of Adar, 5786, Saturday, February 21st. And I know I'm not going to be able to do it one of these days. Alright. Thank God I've been able to do it thus far. No one really knows for sure. Elu ve Elu, Divrei Elohim Chaim. This is the Mazor we live by. Sewers, I got 99 Zeresim, but a bitch ain't one. Chilazon, New York's chocolate sounds like a fucking Pokemon. That's it. Blue snail. Golas. Jewish diaspora in exile. Chachma, Bina Da'at, wisdom, understanding, knowledge. Chalaf, knife. Shechita, slaughter. Shochet, slaughter. Bedika, examination or inspection. Chalaf, the instrument of surgical sharpness used to perform shechita. Halakha, the body of Jewish law. Halakhic, in accordance with halakha. Kosher, correct, fit, appropriate. Nevela, an animal that was not slaughtered by shechita. By this pimp, shechita. A Jewish religious humane method of slaughtering animals and poultry for food. Shochet, the person who performs shechita, pardon me, qualified with a thorough knowledge of Jewish law, animal anatomy, and pathology, and licensed by both religious and civic authorities. Torah, the source of all Jewish teaching and law. Treifa, literally torn. Za'ar, Ba'ale, Chaim. That's Jewish teaching that cruelty to animals diminishes man's own ethical and moral standing, and is contrary to Jewish law to cause animals pain or distress. Shochet, that's a slaughterer. Shechita is the slaughtering. Stellen, Chalef is polishing of the knives. Bodek is a checker. Gay cock and off and yam, like this dying, and go piss in the ocean. This is bullshit. May Hashem bless you and guard you. May Hashem shine his face upon you and be gracious to you. May Hashem lift his face to you and grant you peace. Akan ani medaber ivrit bekar ivrit mikra'it af she befal naknu amurim ledaber Yiddish o ulai aramid shegam o tan ani yakol ledaber b'mida mesuyamet aval ani ma'adif anglit wakin ba'u nedaber anglit ze nishma tov lecha. Okay. Oh, I got this bullshit song. Really? Yeah. One part I like about it is the hey. This is the best part. Hey, what's your favorite part of Hava and Nagila? The hey. Huh? I'm a little tired. What's up? This shit sucks. Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venismecha, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venismecha. Hava neranena, Hava neranena, Hava neranena, Venismecha. Hava neranena, Hava neranena, Hava neranena, Venismecha. Uru, uru, achim. Urakim ben Sameach, Urakim belev Sameach, Urakim belev Sameach, Urakim belev Sameach, Urakim belev Sameach. Hey, Hava, Nagila Hava, Nagila Hava, Nagila Benisha Hava, Nagila Hava, Nagila Hava, Nagila Benisha Uva Neranena, Hava Neranena, Hava Neranena Benisha Hava Neranena, Hava Neranena, Hava Neranena Benisha Uraki, Urakim, Vanessa May, Urakim, Vanessa May, Urakim, Vanessa May, Urakim, Vanessa May, Urakim. Urakim. Vanessa May. All right. Now what? So there's death, that's soul separates, Gehenna, purification, Gan Eden, initial spiritual reward, pause for reincarnation, spiritual repair, resurrection, body, soul are reunited. Olam Haba, perfected embodied, eternal world. 5 levels: Nefesh, action, vitality, Ruach, emotion, Neshama, intellect, Chaya, transcendent life force, Yechida, absolute unity with God. Alright. Sure, comma. Sure, comma. That's what's next. This shit is so boring. Really? Dog. It's not like it's aliens. Aliens are tight. This shit boring. It's like I don't know. I hate to say this, but it's like when a little kid is like telling you a story, but you know what the fucking the truth is already. You're like, oh, okay, well, that sounds really good. Like, I don't know. And
Excellent. This is one of the most controversial and esoteric early Jewish mystical texts. Here is a structured outline. Shiur Koma, Shiur Kuma, measure of the divine body, traditional attribution, Rabbi Akiva attribution, Anus Merkava mystics, date likely 3rd to 6th century CE. Excellent. This is one of the most controversial and esoteric early Excellent. This is one of the most controversial and esoteric early Jewish mystical texts. Here is a structured outline. Shiur Koma, measure of the divine body, traditional attribution, Rabbi Akiva, historical attribution, anonymous Merkava mystic, date likely 6th century CE, literary context, early Hekalot, Merkava, Ekalut, Merkava, palaces, chariot mysticism. Historical context, Shiur Koma emerges in the same mystical orbit as Hekalot, Rabbati, Hekalot, Zutati through Enoch. It belongs to early Jewish mysticism focused on divine throne visions, angelic hierarchies, heavenly ascent, the glory, kavod kabod of God. Unlike later Kabbalah, this is pre-Sephirotic mysticism. 2. Core theme. The text describes the immense cosmic measurements of the divine form. It assigns gigantic numerical dimensions, esoteric divine names, anatomical language, eyes, arms, torso, etc. These measurements are astronomically large. Example themes: the size of God's arm, the measurement of his crown, secret names corresponding to each limb. Number 3, the theological Shiur Koma uses anthropomorphic language. That is extremely. The Torah already speaks metaphorically of hand of God, eyes of God, arm of God. But Shio Koma systematizes and magnifies this imagery. This raised major objections. Afu, how was it understood? There are three major interpretive approaches: literal, esoteric. Some early mystics believed the measurements described the kavod, divine glory, not God's essence, atzmatzmut, meaning this is the visionary form seen by prophets, not the infinite essence, symbolic, cosmic. Others interpret the body represents the structure of the cosmos. Each limb equals aspect of divine governance, the measurements symbolic magnitudes of divine influence. Radical allegory. Rambam's camp. Maimonides strongly opposed anthropomorphism. In Guide for the Perplexed, he argues any corporeal description of God is heresy if taken literally. Many rationalist scholars either reinterpreted Shiokoma metaphorically or rejected it as dangerous mysticism. Why include measurements? The enormous numbers serve several purposes: emphasize divine transcendence, overwhelm the mind, induce awe, guard the knowledge. Only initiates could handle it. The absurd scale ensures no one thinks this is physical flesh. It destabilizes literal thinking. Relationship to later Kabbalah Shiur. Koma predates the Sephirotic system of the Zohar. However, it influenced later mystical imagery of Adam Kadmon, Dam Kadmon, primordial man, cosmic structure, divine emanation. Later Kabbalah spiritualizes the anthropomorphism. The body becomes a map of divine attributes, not anatomy. Rabbinic reception. This text was highly controversial. Some Geonim opposed teaching it publicly. Rambam's philosophical school distanced itself sharply. However, Tosophist and mystical circles preserved it. It survived, but marginally. 8. Spiritual function. Shiur Koma was not meant for casual reading. It functioned as mystical initiation text, meditative material, secret transmission among elite circles. It was likely never mainstream synagogue material. Ix, core tension. Shiur Koma embodies the deep fault line in Judaism. Mystical vision versus philosophical abstraction. Embodied divine imagery versus absolute incorporeality. That tension runs through all of medieval Jewish thought. X, bottom line. Shiur Koma is one of the boldest anthropomorphic mystical texts in Judaism, probably composed 3rd, 6th century, deeply esoteric, theologically explosive, later reinterpreted symbolically. It sits at the boundary between Merkava mysticism and classical Kabbalah. If you'd like, we can next examine whether Shiur Koma was ever considered heretical, how the Ari Isaac Luria would interpret it, or how modern Orthodox thinkers deal with it today.
No, Doug, I want to talk about being a rabbi and the different types of smicha, the process, how there's been some disconnect. But no, Doug, I want to talk about being a rabbi. Smicha, the different types, how there's been disconnect, how this relates to the Kohen Gadol. Will Mashiach be a rabbi? Just everything about rabbis.
Love this topic. This is foundational. Let's build this from the ground up. We'll cover What semicha, rabbinic ordination, originally was, how it was lost, the different types of semicha today, what makes someone a rabbi, community rabbi versus poseks versus Rosh Yeshiva, can anyone become a rabbi, the theological meaning of rabbinic authority, original semicha in the Torah. The first semicha is in the Torah. Moshe places his hands on Yehoshua, open quote. V'yismach et yadav alav. He placed his hands upon him, close quote. This is not symbolic, it transmitted legal authority. This chain continued. Moshe Yehoshua, elders, prophets, Anshe Neset Hagedollah. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avot opens with this chain. This semicha gave power to judge capital cases, impose fines, declare new months, ordain further sages. It required being in Eretz Yisrael, direct lineage from previous ordained sage. The loss of classical semicha during Roman persecution, 2nd, 4th century CE, semicha became illegal. The Talmud in Babylonian Talmud, Sanhedrin 14a, describes Roman decrees. Anyone ordained or being ordained would be killed. Eventually, the chain broke. Classical semicha ended. This means no rabbi today has biblical semicha. Very important. Modern semicha. What is it? Today's semicha is not transmission of judicial power. It is certification of halachic competence. It usually covers kashrut, niddah, family purity laws, Shabbat, ishur v'heter, isur v'heter, permitted and forbidden foods. Some receive advanced semicha in dayanut, rabbinical court judging. It is authorization to rule on Jewish law, not biblical authority. Types of rabbis today, let's categorize. A. Congregational rabbi leads a synagogue, pastoral care, sermons, community guidance, often not a major halachic authority. B. Posek halachic decider, high-level halachic authority. Examples historically, Moses Iserles Yosef Karo, Shulchan Aruch Posek status is earned through scholarship and recognition, not just a certificate. C. Rosh Yeshiva, head of a yeshiva, often towering Talmudic scholar, may or may not serve as Posek. D. Dayan, trained specifically in monetary and family law, requires additional certification. Is rabbi a title or a job? Historic rabbi meant someone ordained with semicha. Today it can mean someone with semicha, someone leading a shul, a teacher, sometimes honorary. The title is fluid, authority is not. Can anyone become a rabbi? Halachic, yes, if they master required areas of Torah, are observant, are morally upright, are endorsed by qualified authorities. There is no tribal or genetic requirement. Even converts can become rabbis. Disconnect between ancient and modern semicha. This is key. Original semicha, judicial power from Sinai. Modern semicha, certification of learning. That's a massive shift. Some attempted to restore classical semicha in the 16th century, Tisfat, but it did not succeed long term. Rabbinic authority, where does it come from? Two sources. A. Torah command, Versit kachol asher yuruch. You shall follow what they instruct. This grants authority to recognize scholars. B. Communal acceptance. A rabbi's authority functions only if the community recognizes it. There is no Vatican in Judaism. Authority is decentralized. Orthodox versus conservative versus reform ordination. Orthodox, Talmud-centered, halachic mastery required. Conservative, Talmud academic methods. Different halachic philosophy. Reform, pastoral and theological training. Halacha not binding in same way. Each uses the term rabbi, but their authority structures differ dramatically. Number one, the emotional reality of being a rabbi. A rabbi becomes counselor, confessor, mediator, funeral guide, marriage officiant, crisis responder, moral anchor. The halachic authority is only one piece. Number one, the hard truth. There is no mystical aura automatically granted. A semicha certificate does not equal wisdom. Authority is earned daily through integrity, through knowledge, through humility. Number one, the deep question. Is a rabbi, a scholar, a judge, a spiritual guide, a community CEO, a therapist, a halachic technician? Historically, primarily a halachic authority. Today, often all of the above. If you want, we can go into how one becomes a posek of international stature, the politics of rabbinic authority, the psychological burden of being a rabbi, whether women can receive semicha, or how Mashiach would change rabbinic structure. Where do you want to take it?
And is Mashiach going to be a rabbi?
All right, we'll do two parts. Women and Semicha. Is Michelle going to be a rabbi?
No, Michelle's like,
Can women receive semicha? This is one of the most debated modern halachic issues. Historically, for most of Jewish history, women were not ordained as rabbis, not because they were considered spiritually inferior, but because formal Torah study structures were male-dominated. Rabbinic roles were tied to public authority and communal leadership. Social structure limited women's access to advanced Talmud study. However, luckily, the core question is there an intrinsic prohibition against a woman being a poseket, female halachic decider? The answer is not. Traditional Orthodox position. Mainstream Orthodox authorities argue public rabbinic authority has historically been male. Rabbinic leadership includes roles resembling Sirara, Shara, communal authority. Some interpret classical sources as limiting formal rabbinic titles to men. Therefore, most Orthodox institutions do not ordain women as rabbi. However, women today teach advanced Talmud, issue halachic rulings in certain areas, especially family purity, serve as yoatzot halacha, halachic advisors. So functionally, authority exists, even if the title does not. Modern Orthodox, open Orthodox developments. Some institutions do ordain women using titles such as Maharat, Rabbi. These are controversial in mainstream Orthodoxy. Conservative and reform movements, they ordain women fully as rabbis. This has been standard for decades. Is Michelle going to be a rabbi? I need clarity here.
who the fuck is
Is a
Michelle?
specific person named Michelle becoming a rabbi? I don't have personal knowledge about private individuals unless you're speaking about a public figure. If you mean, is Michelle Obama becoming a rabbi?
No.
There is no indication of that, and she is not part of rabbinic training structures. If you mean, is a particular Michelle in your community on track for Semicha? You meant Mashiach the Messiah. Now we're in deep territory. Your question is really, will Mashiach be a rabbi? Short answer, he will be far more than what we call a rabbi today. But yes, he will absolutely be a master of Torah and halacha. Let's unpack it properly. What is Mashiach according to classical sources? The primary halachic definition comes from Maimonides in Mishnah Torah, Hilchot Melachim 11-12. Rambam says Mashiach will be a king from the line of David, a Torah scholar, observant and observance enforcing, one who strengthens Torah, one who fights the wars of Hashem, one who rebuilds the temple, one who gathers the exiles. Notice what Rambam does not say. He does not say Mashiach must hold a Semicha certificate, because by then classical Semicha will likely be restored. Will Mashiach be a rabbi? Depends what you mean by rabbi. Today, a rabbi is a certified halachic authority, a community leader, a teacher. Mashiach will certainly be the supreme Torah authority, a teacher of the entire world, a restorer of authentic Semicha, possibly the head of the Sanhedrin, Supreme Rabbinic Court. But his primary title will be King, Melech. He is Melech HaMashiach, King Messiah. So, Rabbi? Yes, in Torah greatness. King? Yes, politically and nationally. Prophet? Possibly, many vaulting on a prophetic level. He transcends the modern rabbi. Will rabbis still exist after Mashiach? Yes, in fact, the Sanhedrin will be restored. Classical Semicha, original ordination, may return. Halachic courts will operate fully. The structure will look more like the Second Temple era than today's decentralized rabbinic world. Will Mashiach replace all rabbis? No. He will unify Torah authority, but not eliminate scholarship. Isaiah describes an era where, open quote, the earth will be filled with knowledge of Hashem, close quote. Torah learning increases, not decreases. Is Mashiach the ultimate posek? Interesting question. Torah is not even in heaven, lo b'shamimi. Even prophetic authority does not override halacha once given. So Mashiach does not invent new Torah. He restores proper application. He operates within Torah, not above it. Will Mashiach be greater than today's Gedolim? Almost certainly yes. The Rambam describes him as great in wisdom, close to Moshe. That's not a congregational rabbi, that's epoch-level leadership. Deep structural shift. Right now, rabbinic authority is decentralized. After Mashiach, authority recenters in Sanhedrin, temple, Davidic monarchy. The system becomes integrated again, King Hidrin's temple. Mashiach will be a king, a Torah giant, a halachic authority, a national unifier, a spiritual restorer. Calling him rabbi would technically be correct, but it would be a massive understatement. If you want, next we can explore. Will Mashiach end Gehinnom? Will Mashiach restore prophecy? Will Mashiach solve halachic disputes like Beit Hillel versus Beit Shammai? Or how Mashiach relates to Chabad theology specifically? Where are we heading? You're talking about the classic three levels, Yore, Yadin, Yatir, Bechorot. Let's break this down clearly and historically. The three traditional types of semicha, rabbinic, these phrases come from the era when classical semicha still existed, Talmudic period. They represent increasing levels of judicial authority. The discussion appears in the Babylonian Talmud. Yore, he may teach, This is the basic level, meaning this person is authorized to issue halachic rulings, teach Torah, decide everyday questions of permitted, forbidden, isu v'eter, in modern terms. This is what most rabbis receive today. It certifies competence in areas like kashrut, Shabbat, niddah, general halacha. It does not grant authority to judge monetary disputes, issue court rulings, handle capital law. Think of it as qualified halachic teacher. Yadin, he may judge. This is a higher level. It authorizes the rabbi to serve as a dayan, rabbinical judge. That includes monetary disputes, civil cases, business conflicts, divorce courts, formal beit din, rabbinic court. This level required far deeper mastery of Choshen Mishpat, civil law section of Shoshan Aruch. In today's world, this is equivalent to receiving Dayanut certification. Far fewer rabbis have this. Yatir Bechorot, Deal Bechorot, he may permit firstborns. This is very specialized. In temple times, a firstborn kosher animal, Bechor, had sanctity. It had to be brought as a sacrifice. If it developed a blemish, it might become non-sacrificial and permitted for regular consumption. Determining whether a blemish was valid required extremely high expertise. Only someone with this third level of semicar could declare this blemish permanently disqualifies the animal. This required precision, fear of heaven, deep knowledge, judicial authority. It was considered very high-level authority. Important historical note. These three levels only existed when classical semicar was intact in Eretz Yisrael. After Roman persecution ended the original chain, these levels disappeared. Modern semicar is modeled loosely on Yore, basic rabbinic ordination, Yadin, Dayanut certification. Yatir Bechorot no longer practically applies since there is no temple system functioning. As structural summary level of First of all, Rabbi now that we disprove it, Rabbi right? We disprove it, and ultimately again, Kasher or utensil. My other Rav saying, why did Rav say Tieros b'Pesach Mishaper? Why do you have to smash chametz certain utensils? Like, why can't you kasher them? Why can't you kasher them? So the Gemara says, first of all, who says the Bryce is talking about the earthly word? The Bryce that committed to kasher the offering, maybe no matter what. Right? Who says that it's talking about earthly word? Or it wasn't because Simon, Kanu Shal Kares, says Satan legitimately says Satan is a those are different also. Or so possibly one is maybe when we see the kasher, we start now another earthenware oven. Or so maybe he's talking about an earthenware oven. But also there's a difference. You can't kasher earthenware. When can you kasher earthenware? If the fire is ignited inside of the utensil. When you can't kasher earthenware, when the fire is outside of the utensil. So in your oven, in your earthenware oven, where is the utensil? Where is the fire? Inside. Now what's the logic there? Logically, see the difference between the intensity of a fire, ignited inside of a flame versus outside of a flame. So if you're igniting a fire inside the flame, then you can kasher. If you're igniting, what the Gemara says that you can't go ahead and kasher a flame with utensils for this time, what is that talking about? A regular utensil. Where's the fire going to go? Outside of the flame. That you can't kasher. So what's the other before you go on? You can pretty much capture anything as long as what? As long as the fire stands. As long as the fire stands. You can even go ahead and capture a focus words pencil. Like remember, it's something that absorbs everything. It absorbs everything.
Beautiful. Now we go to the dramatic chapter. Can classical Semika be restored? We'll cover why Semika must exist in Eretz Yisrael, the 16th century Tetzvat attempt, why it failed, whether Mashiach will restore it, why must Semika be in Eretz Yisrael. The original Semika chain, Moshe Yehoshua elders, required an unbroken transmission, physical presence in the land of Israel. The source is in the Babylonian Talmud, Sanhedrin 14a. Why the land? Because full judicial authority, including capital and corporal law, is tied to national sovereignty, Sanhedrin, Sanhedrin, Supreme Court, temple-centered legal system. When Jews lost sovereignty under Rome, Semika collapsed. No land-based sovereignty, no judicial chain. Rambam's bombshell opinion. Maimonides writes in Mishnah Torah, Sanhedrin 11, if all sages in Eretz Yisrael agree, they can reinstitute Semika. This is revolutionary, because it suggests restoration is possible even without Mashiach. However, it's debated whether Rambam meant this practically or theoretically. The Tetzvat attempt, 1538. This is where it gets dramatic. In 16th century Safed Tzvat, then a global center of Torah and Kabbalah, Rabbi Jacob Barak attempted to restore Semika. He gathered leading rabbis in Eretz Yisrael. They ordained him. He then ordained Yosef Karo, author of Shulchan Aruch, other leading sages. The goal: restore Sanhedrin, reinstate judicial authority, prepare for national redemption. Why it failed? Rabbi Levi ibn Habib of Jerusalem opposed it. Main objections: Rambam's opinion is disputed. Not all sages agreed. Political danger under Ottoman rule. Fear of premature messianic movement. The controversy divided communities. Eventually, the project collapsed. Semika was not widely accepted. So, the chain did not stabilize. Why is restoration so hard? Because classical Semika requires consensus among major Torah authorities, sovereign functioning Jewish judiciary, broad communal recognition. Today, Torah world is fragmented. There is no unified halachic authority. That makes consensus nearly impossible. Will Mashiach restore it? According to Rambam, yes. In the Messianic era, Sanhedrin returns, temple service resumes, biblical judicial authority reactivates. That includes Yora Yora Yadin, Yadin Yatir, Becharot. Full restoration. Mashiach doesn't invent a new system. He restores the old one. Deep structural insight. Right now we live in post-temple rabbinic Judaism. Authority equals scholarship, communal recognition. After Mashiach, authority equals national covenantal judiciary. We're operating in a decentralized survival model. The Messianic model is centralized and sovereign. Could Semika be restored today without Mashiach? Technically, some argue yes, based on Rambam. Practically, almost impossible. Too much fragmentation, too much dispute, no consensus, Sanhedrin. If you want next, we can go into, would capital punishment return? Would Beit Hillel versus Beit Shammai disputes be resolved? Would prophecy return alongside Semika? Or how modern Israeli state law interacts with halachic sovereignty? Where do we take it?
And essentially, Yerushalayim requires us to learn laws that we exercise the senses care. So you turn to kings in Yerushalayim, just like the that way, it's very important. Like in Yerushalayim, you see garbage on the ground, you have to pick it up. You have to pick it up. Right? You have to pick it up.
All right, let's go step by step and stay systematic. We'll tackle the three major questions about the Messianic era. Will capital punishment return? Will halachic disputes, Beit Hillel versus Beit Shammai, be resolved? Will prophecy return? Will capital punishment return? In the Torah, capital punishment absolutely exists, but it was extremely rare. The Babylonian Talmud, Makot 7a, says a Sanhedrin that executed once in 70 years was not destructive. Why? Because two valid witnesses were required. Prior verbal warning, hatra, formal warning. The offender had to acknowledge the warning. No circumstantial evidence allowed. Practically impossible standards. After the destruction of the temple, capital law stopped. In the Messianic era, if the Sanhedrin is restored, then technically yes, capital law returns. But many authorities believe crime will dramatically decrease because, open quote, the earth will be filled with knowledge of Hashem, close quote. So enforcement becomes almost symbolic. Will Beit Hillel, Beit Shammai be resolved? The disputes between Hillel the elder and Shammai are foundational. A famous teaching says, in the future, the halacha will follow Beit Shammai. Right now, we follow Beit Hillel. Why? Because Hillel's school was more accommodating and patient. In a spiritually elevated world, the stricter, sharper, more exacting view of Shammai may become appropriate. Does that mean past rulings were wrong? No, both are Divrei Elokim Chaim, words of the living God. Different spiritual eras require different applications. Messianic era equals different spiritual atmosphere. Will prophecy return? Prophecy ended around the early Second Temple period. The last classical prophets were Haggai, Zechariah, Malachi. After them, we entered the era of Chachamim, sages. According to many sources, prophecy will return in the Messianic era. The book of Joel says, your sons and daughters shall prophesy. But prophecy does not override Torah law. It adds spiritual clarity, not legal innovation. Structural shift summary. Right now, no prophecy, no Sanhedrin, no capital law, disputes frozen in Talmud, diaspora fragmentation. Messianic era, restored Sanhedrin, possible return of prophecy, unified halachic authority, temple-centered society, sovereign Jewish polity. Important clarification. Messianic Judaism in classical Orthodox thought is not abolition of halakha, replacement of Torah, spiritual anarchy. It is restoration, intensification, clarification. If you want, next we can go even deeper. Will free will still exist? Will people still sin? Will Gehinnom, purgatorial cleansing state continue? Will non-Jews have prophecy too? Will Mashiach die like a normal king? Pick your direction.
Even if you are in Kosovo, sometimes you don't choose your location in life. Sometimes life puts you somewhere. And often we think that if we find ourselves in a place that we don't want to be, our ability to achieve and acquire solution is going to be limited. It's not true. Wherever you are, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is, and wherever you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu are, there's limitless possibilities for Kedusha. So if you want, there's no limits when you can say, where do they talk about this miracle? In a place called Kosovo, a place named Bright. It looks like idolatry has to happen in a particular location for the place to be called by the name of the I don't know, but I would imagine a lot, right? I would imagine like it's not like recreational idolatry happening over there. Right? They're not just dabbling in idolatry. They're putting in the place. That's not just like a mukum about Zara. But even in the mukum about Zara, there's still great things to be found if you need to push and research yourself. That's number one.
All right, now we're going into the deep metaphysical layer. We'll tackle, will free will still exist? Will people still sin? What happens to Gehinnom, purgatorial cleansing state? Will non-Jews have prophecy? Will Mashiach die like a normal king? Will free will still exist? According to Maimonides in Mishneh Torah, free will is fundamental to Torah. Without it, mitzvot have no meaning. So yes, free will continues. But here's the nuance. Free will doesn't disappear. The temptation structure changes. Right now, ignorance is high, divine clarity is low. Confusion is normal. Messianic era. Divine knowledge becomes obvious, spiritual reality becomes clear. Choosing evil becomes harder, not impossible. Think less moral confusion, more moral clarity. Will people still sin? There are two major models. A, Rambam's approach. Life continues naturally, people can still sin, but society becomes spiritually elevated. Model B, Kabbalistic approach. The Yetzer Hara, evil inclination, is dramatically weakened. The Babylonian Talmud, Sukkah 52a, describes a future where the evil inclination is slaughtered. Interpretations vary. Literally removed or exposed as powerless. Most understand it as its domination ends, struggle decreases, awareness increases. What happens to Gehinnom? Gehinnom is not eternal damnation in Jewish thought. It is purification. Most souls are cleansed up to 12 months. In the Messianic era, several views. Gehinnom continues for necessary purification, or it gradually becomes unnecessary as humanity elevates, or it transforms into spiritual refinement rather than punishment. According to many mystical sources, when divine revelation increases, harsh judgment decreases. Will non-Jews have prophecy? The prophet Joel says, "Your sons and daughters shall prophesy." Many understand this universally. Before Sinai, prophecy was not exclusive to Israel, Egypt, Bible. In a redeemed world, spiritual awareness spreads globally. The nations are not erased, they are elevated. According to Rambam, the nations will recognize God and abandon rule. That suggests widespread spiritual clarity, possibly prophetic level awareness. Will Mashiach die? This is fascinating. Rambam presents Mashiach as a human king, not divine, not immortal, he can die. If he dies before completing the mission, he is not Mashiach. But if he completes it, many sources imply normal human lifespan continues. Some midrashim describe very long lifespans returning, but classical halacha sees Mashiach as mortal. He inaugurates the era. He is not the final metaphysical state. Big structural picture. There are actually two phases in many views. Phase 1, Messianic era, temple restored, Sanhedrin restored, natural order mostly intact, death still exists, free will exists. Phase 2, Olam Haba, the ultimate world to come, radical metaphysical transformation, resurrection of the dead, possibly no death, direct divine closeness. Rambam separates these clearly. Kabbalistic sources blend them more. Out summary table, question answer. Free will, yes. Sin, possible but reduced. Gehinnom, likely continues in refined form. Non-Jew prophecy, possibly yes. Mashiach die, yes. Human king. If you want, we can now go even deeper into resurrection, the resurrection of the dead, the soul's levels, nefesh, ruach, neshama, whether technology exists in the Messianic era, or how all this differs between Rambam and Kabbalah. Where are we heading next?
So we got started as soon as we could get funding was more just like functional potential to go ahead and functional potential to one stakes the ball. It turns out there's actually a Kusharis, and because it's a Kusharis, you can't go ahead and make it out on the days. Now, people that lives already local offer elements, because whoever's who says no, the Kusharis does not have to be made out of water solar, but even be made out of wood. Even he says wood about the terrestrials, but ultimately again, it cannot be made out of bakery. So he says, so immediately we learn Halacha says you can't have made out of earthenware, and therefore again, the oven itself has to be metal. Incredible. So
Yiddish. Something so pleasurable it could raise the dead. Halavai means I worship only. Yeshakant. Yenton's kind of fetish finds a talker to bitch tacos, brass tacks. Nosh. Snacking on pussy Bashert. Bashert is soulmate Basherta. Is female soulmate Basherta. Is male soulmate mishmash mixture. Mishmash overtaken by bupkis. Nothing. Nothing. Uh, Peanuts. Good Yontif means happy holiday. L'chaim. Health. No to life. Power of neutral black kosher. Smooth. Mensch. Good dude. I think mensch should be a thing. Seducus Froy. Aishat Chayil. Gittel. Alright. Shkoyak, that's Yashar Koak, but Yashar Kokaka, that means may your strength be directed forward. Stettel, that's a town. Shadel, that's a wig. Strimel, that's a hat. Milkig, that's meat. Fleisch, Milkig, that's dairy. Fleischig, that's meat. Neutral. Hamish, that's homie. Hamish. Shmata, that's rags. Schwiger, mother-in-law. Chazir, that's Hebrew for pig. Chazir, to repeat. She'll have to carry a burden. Meshuggah, wild and crazy guy. Ganef, as a thief. Trafe is torn. Yahrzeit, annual anniversary of death. Klutz, that's clumsy. Nidlock, that's matzo balls. Spitz, that's hot. Schnorrer. A schnorrer, a Yiddish term for an individual who engages in the act of schnorring, taking from others typically in the form of charitable gifts. The corollary word by the English description of moocher, like Minnie the Moocher, baby. The term schnorrer is generally regarded as derogatory and expanded to refer to anyone who is not quite making it socially, financially, or appearance-wise, and has generated a full genre of Jewish legends, stories, and jokes. But all humor aside, Jewish communities have historically done honorable work of accommodating and supporting schnorrers with dignity. Many contemporary Jewish communities have a special board to whom traveling collectors can present their bona fides, medical bills, letters from local rabbis, etc., in exchange for a letter of recommendation known as a Hammalza. With these letters in hand, they go from door to door identifying Jewish homes by the mezuzah scroll on the right side of the doorway and canvas synagogues to collect donations, large and small. Communities may also make accommodations available so that the collectors can minimize the expenses accrued during their travels. In times gone by, many communities supported Hekadesh, Hebrew for sacred place, where wayfarers and other indigents could find lodging. Since these places were often somewhat neglected, the term has come to refer to a messy place, along with the lines of Chazer Shtal, Yiddish for pigsty, the Meshulach, literary, literally agent of Meshulach, refers to one who is collecting funds for a cause other than himself and his immediate family. These typically include social service organizations or institutions of Torah scholarship. Since the Middle Ages, there has been a stream of Mashulachim traveling from the Holy Land of diaspora to give Jews the merit of supporting those who make their homes of the sacred soil of Israel. A Mashulach from the land of Israel was known as a Shadar, an acronym for Sheliach Derabanan, an agent of the rabbis. Presumably, since the rabbis of the Holy Land would often choose an outstanding scholar to represent their cause to communities abroad. Presumably, since the rabbis of the Holy Land would often choose an outstanding scholar to represent their cause to communities abroad. In Chabad parlance, the term is also used to select Hasidim whose responsibilities include raising funds for the Rebbe's institutions. Hach Hachanaskala, many poor folk manage to eke out a living without relying on others until their children reach marriageable age, when the expenses of holding a respectable wedding and setting up the new couple prove beyond their modest means. People collecting money to marry off their children may state that they are collecting for Haknosas Kala, bringing in the bride, which the Mishnah lists as a cause so special that it pays immediate dividends to the donor in this world, and the principal still awaits them in the world to come. Tizka la mitzvahs, after they receive a donation, and often even before, a collector may tell a prospective patron, Tizka la mitzvahs, may you merit to mitzvahs. This reflects the rabbinic notion that the reward for a good deed is the ability to perform another one. Tzedakah, despite the negative connotations attached to the term schnorrer, the collector himself may feel little shame in what he is doing. On the contrary, he may feel that he is doing his fellow Jews a favor by allowing them to contribute to the worthy cause he represents. This ties indirectly to the word tzedakah, which is often translated as charity, but actually means justice. For a Jew to give money to another is not an act of generosity or largesse; rather, it is an honest reflection of the way of the world, as everything belongs to God, and He gives one person more than another, so that they may perfect His world by redistributing the wealth accordingly. Tzedakah is better translated as righteousness or a means of setting the world right. The emperor locked up was without withholding thither, but you gave him to eat. Would the emperor not lock you up? God made the beggar, God made his hunger. Let God give him his wine. And yet, what if you asked Rabbi Akiva, what is if it were his own son whom the emperor locked up withholding his daily bread, but you gave him to eat? Would the emperor not love you? Whenever God conceals his love, can be revealed. Whenever God conceals his love, that love can be revealed to you. Okay. Very cool story, bro. The Baron and the Beggar. There was once a fellow who would regularly collect alms from a Jewish magnate known in Yiddish as a Gvir, claiming that the money was for his impoverished mother. Time passed and his mother passed on. When the son next came to collect his regular stipend, the Gvir's assistant challenged him. Your mother is no longer among the living. Why are you here now? Just 1 second, shouted back the witty beggar. It's bad enough that I am mourning my dear mother. You want the Gvir to lose his mitzvah as well? Oh, okay, cool, dog. That was a great story. Really? Yeah. I thought we were gonna fucking do more about like the Chabad website. I know, but we will, God willing, in time. All right, now what? We gotta watch a fucking video. We're covering a lot more shit. We sing a whole song. It's a whole thing. Birkat Hamatzon. We'll do that one later. Let's do Havdalah since we'll be doing Havdalah soon tonight.
At the end of Shabbat, we lift our spirits by making blessings over wine, spices, and the special Havdalah light, hoping thereby to take the holiness of Shabbat and extend it over the week that is to come. For Havdalah, we require a cup of wine, a Havdalah candle, and some fragrant spices. Havdalah is recited at the conclusion of Shabbos and festivals. To begin, we light the special braided candle and then fill a cup of wine to overflowing. Then, standing, the cup of wine is lifted up and the following is said. Hine El Yeshuasi Heftach V'Layachad Ki Hazi B'Zimras Yach Adonai Vayhi Li Lishua Ushafte Maim B'Sasayin Mimaynei HaYeshua Ladinoi HaYeshua Alamcha V'Chasecha Selo Adonai Tzvais Imanu Meskavlanu Elahei Yaakov Selo Adonai Tzvais Ashrei Adam Mateach Bach Adonai Hashia Hamelech Yaneinu V'Yan Kareinu. All together we recite Layehudim Haisa Hayra V'Simcha V'Sasa B'Yikar Kain Ti Elanu Kais Yeshuas Esa V'Shem Adonai Hekra Zabri Maranon Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Bayrei Peri Hagafen. The cup is lowered without drinking. The spices are picked up and we say Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Bayrei Minei B'Samim. One smells the spices and passes them around so others can smell the spices. Then the Havdalah candle is held up for all to see. We look at the candle and say the blessing. Baruch Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Bayrei Bayrei Haish. Our hands are raised to the light of the candle. We curl our fingers over our palms and we look at the reflection of the flame off our fingernails. The cup of wine is lifted and we say the following.
Hamavdil.
Hamavdil ben Kodesh l'chol b'nei l'choshech ben Yisrael l'amim v'yom hashvi l'shesh yasimi hamaiseh Baruch atah Adonai Hamavdil ben Kodesh l'chol. We then drink the wine, but enough is left to extinguish the flame. The candle is held over a plate and the remaining wine is poured over the flame to extinguish it. We say Gut Woch or Shavua Tov to wish each other a good week. Some people put their pinky fingers in the wine and wash their eyelids with that wine. The concluding blessing is recited over the wine, following the prayer V'yiten lecha. And we want Mashiach.
Oh, that was tight. Chabad Wimbledon, fucking island. All right, are you done? Yeah, I'm done with this bullshit. Why? What do you do, baby? We're in survival mode. What? when we're firing on all cylinders, you better watch the fuck out. Really? Oh, yeah, baby. Dog, now what? I'm gonna burp. Pardon me. Really? Why not? You